All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number 237. Today is going to be another spicy one, guys, because we all knew it was going to happen. A well-known, extremely popular tabletop RPG manufacturer has decided to just revoke a policy that has allowed people to make fan created content and all this other stuff. It is literally what one of the biggest things holding this company up. And they just randomly, no warning, no nothing, just strip it away so they can steal all your money. I cannot believe that this company has done it again. This company has a history of screwing over their employees, screwing over their fans. They're just always doing this, and yet there are all these people that will always just go to bat for them because they're massively popular. Oh, you thought I was talking about Wizards of the Coast? No, this is fucking Paizo. So, for anyone that doesn't know, the number one RPG on the market is Dungeons and Dragons. And when Dungeons and Dragons made the switch from 3rd edition to 4th edition, there was a remarkably small minority of people that were mad because 4th edition was nothing like 3rd edition. And they did that on purpose. For everyone that says that 4th edition was really unpopular, none of that is true. 4th edition had to immediately have a second printing of their books. They outsold all of the 3rd edition books combined within like 9 months of 4th edition existing. No, 4th edition was very popular. It just wasn't as profitable as Hasbro wanted it to be. And how popular was Hasbro thinking it was going to be? Well, they came up with an online subscription model, and they were basically expecting numbers like World of Warcraft, where they would have like 10 million subscribers, and that just was never going to happen. The tabletop RPG market at that point wasn't that large. So, yeah, anyone that says that 4th edition was a failure doesn't know what they're talking about. There are no numbers to back that up. It has always been a fallacy pushed forward mostly by Paizo and the people that support Paizo. Now, who's Paizo? Paizo used the open game license, which was created as part of 3rd edition to basically encourage fan-made content. And it was actually a really brilliant market-shaking thing because home brewing and creating your own content, that had always been something that had been a part of Dungeons & Dragons since the very, very beginning. Hell, Dungeons & Dragons was a fan-made game. So that had always been a thing, and homebrewing has always existed in the tabletop RPG universe, but the OGL did something that was unique in the idea that it gave an official way to sell and make money off of your creations, which really wasn't a thing up until then. Could you sell your own stuff? Absolutely. Again, there were adventures that were published for 2nd edition and 1st edition that weren't published by TSR. But it was always kind of a gray area, and there was always a chance that if someone really, really big, like maybe a multinational toy company with millions of dollars and teams of lawyers, thought that you were encroaching upon them, they could sue you into oblivion. So the OGL was monumental in that it gave game designers the ability to create their own content and technically their own games using this and be able to make money off it, to become professional game designers. So, who used that? Probably the most effective way that has ever been used? Paizo. Paizo created Pathfinder, which is D&D 3.75. 100%. It took the rules from D&D 3.5, got rid of a few of the more obtuse things and made some quality of life choices that makes it the base version of Pathfinder runs better than D&D 3.5. It just 100% does. And a lot of that was due to the fact that they had had quite a few years of playing D&D 3.5 to realize where the things needed to be changed. So they made this thing called they didn't. Wizards of the Coast released this thing called the Open Game License, or the OGL. Path and Paizo was able to create Pathfinder off of that and became basically D&D's biggest rival. Now, when we say D&D's biggest rival, the best year Paizo has ever had in the existence of the company, they did about $30 million in revenue. Now, that is revenue, not profit. There's a very, very large difference between revenue and profit. You could have massive, massive revenue and actually have negative profit. I don't know what their profit margin was when they were making $30 million. That is the best that company has ever done in the existence of the company. They've done somewhere between $30 and $40 million in a year. D&D just had a year with if I remember correctly, Wizards of the Coast itself crossed $1 billion in revenue, and D&D was something like 40% of that. So, yeah, Paizo is number 2 in the market, but they don't compete with Wizards of the Coast. They compete with everybody else, and they do it very, very well. Well, how does Paizo do so much better than literally everything else on the market? When, again, there's a lot of really great games out there. The Cypher system by Monty Cook Games. Monty Cook Games makes some really, really amazing stuff. There's Green Ronin Publishing, who makes the Age system and a bunch of other things. They even have some really good licenses. They have the Dragon Age license for the Age system. They have the Expanse license. They're doing that. Renegade Game Studios, they're the folks that make the Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony. And as we announced earlier, they are going to be making a Welcome to Night Vale tabletop RPG, all using the Essence 20 system. And they have a shit ton of other stuff that they do as well. They publish Vampire the Masquerade. And all the different World of Darkness books. So how is it that Paizo is just so much more... is making so much more money? Well, Paizo has this really interesting trick that they have to ensure that they make money. See, because they were based on D&D 3.5, and especially after the whole OGL debacle, everybody knew that in order for a game, a tabletop RPG to really thrive, it needs to have a strong homebrewing community. So... a long, long time ago, in fact, 15 years ago, according to the article I'm reading by Wargamer, they released the community use policy. That is effectively Paizo's version of the OGL. Now, there are some pretty big differences between the OGL and the community use policy. Probably the biggest of which is if you are publishing something under the community use policy, you're not allowed to make money off of it. Only Paizo is allowed to make money off of Pathfinder. You are not. Yes, you're allowed to make things for our system, and we will gladly allow you to do that to make our system more robust, but you fucking better not think that you're going to make any money off of our IP. We didn't bust unions and pay all of our artists so bad that they were forced to unionize. We didn't have racist, sexist, and various phobic policies in all of our in our offices and things like that we got sued for repeatedly. We didn't do all that stuff so someone else could make money off of our product. No, Paizo makes money off of Pathfinder, and only Paizo. So what happens in July? This is over a year after the OGL debacle, and what was one of the biggest rallying cries is they were going to... Wizards of the Coast was going to destroy the OGL without telling anyone, which, by the way, for anyone that didn't know, that was a bold-faced lie. It was never true. It was never going to be true. The OGL that was leaked, that document was already never going to happen. They had already thrown that document out and said, hey, we don't like that. We'd send it off to some other people, including Paizo. And they'd said, hey, we don't like this, and this aspect of it. So they had already scrapped it before it was leaked by the fake journalist that I'm not even going to use her name, but she got fired eventually because she burned all these bridges, and now she's begging for people to pay her to continue to be a pretend journalist. One of the biggest issues that everyone said, because everybody said that was never going to be a thing. Yes, but they thought about it. They thought about it. They thought about it, and they were just going to do it, and it was going to screw over everything. It would have ruined the entire D&D community. It wouldn't have. No one that was up in arms about the OGL has ever been able to show me a single product that would have been destroyed, even based on the leaked OGL document. That was never going to happen. It was all based on lies and misinformation and fear-mongering. So a year after that, you want to know what Paizo did on July 22nd, 2024? They terminated the community use policy and replaced it with the new fan content policy. You want to know the difference between the community use policy and the fan content policy? Well, the fan content policy, significantly more restrictive. But it did allow some people to make some money off of it. So that's nice, right? They're allowing people to make money off of Paizo. Wait a minute. With the new fan content policy, the only way you're allowed to make money is if you sell it through their Infinite storefront. They have a storefront called Infinite or Paizo Infinite, something like that. That is the only place under the new fan content policy, which again has completely replaced the community use policy, the thing that's been in existence for 15 years, almost as long as the OGL was in existence. The community use policy, which all of these products had existed for years. All of that's gone, and none of it is legal anymore. Anyone that was using the old community use policy now has to update to the fan content policy, or they will be sued into oblivion. They will be declared breaching copyright, and they will have everything that they have made taken away from them. Well, still, that's not that much different from like the DMs Guild. The DMs Guild, if I am a licensed DMs Guild publisher, I signed a licensing agreement specifically stating that I would not sell any of the stuff that I publish on the DMs Guild anywhere else. I have an exclusive distributing license with the DMs Guild. And because I publish things on the DMs Guild, I'm actually allowed to use more copywritten content than people that use the open game license. I'm actually allowed to use some of Wizards of the Coast's what they call product identity in the stuff that I publish, which is really cool, but it comes with that limitation. I am only allowed to publish it on the DMs Guild. So it's basically the same thing. Fan content policy, DMs Guild. Well, not exactly. You see, anything that you publish on Paizo's proprietary storefront, Infinity, they own. Now, I have not actually looked at the licensing agreement for Infinity, so it's theoretically possible that people are misreading the licensing agreement the exact same way that they misread the recent Adobe licensing agreement, where they go, well, Adobe owns all your stuff. No, they don't. It's the thing that they got mad about. It's the same thing that people got mad at Critical Role about forever ago. Like, Critical Role's trying to steal everybody's stuff. No, the little boilerplate thing that that everyone got pissed off about Critical Role about, and then the exact same thing happened to Adobe. It's a boilerplate thing that is on just about every website ever. Twitch has it. Twitter has it. TikTok has an extremely worse version of it, but it basically allows them to use your stuff in advertising. And the way that it works is in an ad, they can show actual content from the website instead of having to make their own content for the website. So if they're playing an ad going, hey, you should try Twitch, they can actually show Twitch streams on there. to give people an example of, see, these are all the cool people that stream on Twitch. In order to be able to do that legally, they have to have that language in there. And that's all the Critical Role stuff was. It's all the stuff for Apple, or not Apple, for Adobe was. Theoretically, it's possible that people are misreading it the same way. I haven't read it. However, if we look at how Paizo has treated their fans thus far, we haven't even gotten into the orc. The orc is another one that's really fun. We'll talk about that in a second. I would not be surprised if Paizo's version of that specifically states, yeah, anything you put on here, you're giving us permission to use however we want. And if we decide to publish it in a real book, it sucks to be you. Again, Paizo's rules are the only people that make money off of Pathfinder's Paizo. So fuck you. Yeah, this is what happened. You notice how all the tabletop RPG channels are not going up in arms and saying, I will never... Paizo has lost my trust and I will never trust them again. No, because it was never about trust. It was never about the OGL. It was about Wizards of the Coast is a big company, and if we shit on them, we can make money from people watching our videos. That's why every single person that flipped out about the OGL is currently making D&D 5.5 content. Every single one of them. Look for them. Find a single one that is not making content about the new player's handbook. Find me one. I dare you. So, Paizo did the exact thing that they accused Wizards of the Coast of doing, which again, Wizards of the Coast never did, never intended to do. This was just an internal document that that a disgruntled employee at Wizards of the Coast leaked out and then lied about repeatedly. Again, for those of you that didn't follow too closely, the trusted source on the inside repeatedly just bold-faced lied to a bunch of different people, including Ginny D, who's probably the biggest face that got some egg on her face because of it. And as soon as the lies were published, like multiple people that worked at Wizards of the Coast and people that used to work at Wizards of the Coast went, that's a blatant lie. One of the people, the biggest lie that they just kept doubling down on was Wizards of the Coast doesn't use any of the survey information. They just throw it away. And the person that debunked it was a person whose job was entirely reading through surveys and quantifying them and putting them into a format that the game designers could use to make decisions. Like, that was the entirety of her job, 40 hours a week. That's all she did. She goes, no, actually, that's a completely blatant lie. Like, they literally have people who their sole job is to look through the surveys and find good stuff in it. And then the trusted source doubled down and goes, well, that person doesn't work there anymore, so they used to do that, but they don't anymore. And then Jeremy Crawford comes out. I literally just released a video talking about the survey results, and I used actual data from the survey and said that this thing got this many votes and this percentage of people that liked it, and this thing got this percentage of people. Like, I literally 2 weeks ago released this. How can, like, where are you getting this information? The person you're talking to either doesn't work at Wizards of the Coast or doesn't know what they're talking about and probably won't be working there for very long. That last part I put on. Yeah, everybody freaked out about this. When Paizo does it, nobody says a fucking thing. Because it was never about betrayal of trust. It was never about the health of the tabletop RPG community. No, it's about making money off of getting people pissed off and trying to bring down the Goliath that is Wizards of the Coast. So, if you really want to know how the savior of tabletop RPGs, Paizo, treats their players, you are not allowed to make money off of Pathfinder. Paizo makes money off of Pathfinder. And then, when there's too many people there and they realize, hey, we can make more money off you, they cancel the thing that allowed everybody to make awesome shit for their game and then create a significantly more limited one where they get to take a cut of your money and then steal your shit whenever they want. But they made a new thing, and they made the orc. The organized retail crime. No, that's not what it is. Um, for anyone wondering why I said that, I worked in retail for a while, and one of the things that you have to deal with in retail is a thing called organized retail crime, which is basically just people that don't like just walk into a store and like five finger discount things. Organized retail crimes are people that it's a group effort, and they specifically like that's their job. They go and they steal stuff from retail stores. So when they announced that their new thing, let's just do this orc Paizo, and let's see the Open RPG Creative License. That's what they call it. Everyone goes, but they made Orc, and Orc is designed to help people. No, Orc is basically an offshoot of the community. What was it called? The community use policy, where it's meant to allow people to create stuff from their systems, but make it as difficult as possible to monetize it. And when people asked Paizo after the 5th edition basic SRD, when the 5th edition SRD was released into the Creative Commons, everybody asked Paizo, well, you're making this org thing, why don't you just use Creative Commons? And their very long-winded answer was, well, if we use Creative Commons, there's no way that we can steal people's content. The entire purpose of the org is it gives Paizo and anyone who uses the org license, it gives them the ability to take your content from you. Like that's the entire purpose of org. Now, they phrase it in a way, well, it wouldn't allow us to ensure that everybody shared it in the same way, which actually Creative Commons does do. But Creative Commons does not give the original creator and holder of the license the ability to steal derivative works. The org, from my understanding, from my reading of it, so please read the thing yourself. And I haven't read the orc license in a while, so it's possible that they've modified it so they can't use this exploit anymore. But everything that I personally have read, so this is my opinion, this is not fact, so please don't try and say that I'm accusing anything. The orc license gives Paizo and the people that own the license the ability to basically just use whatever they want. So they get you to do the hard work, and then they just steal it and profit off of it. That's how Paizo has always worked. They have always found ways to wring as much money out of not only their players, but also their staff. Again, there was a huge controversy a few years ago that working conditions for artists for Paizo were so bad that they couldn't afford to live off of the money that they made from Paizo. And so a bunch of artists got together to try and form a union so that they could get collective bargaining power against Paizo, and Paizo mutilated the union. They went through all the union buster tactics to ensure that no union would be able to work for Paizo. And then again, there have been controversy after controversy. Paizo is not a good company. It has never been a good company. It is full of vindictive, power-hungry, money-grubbing assholes. It's one of the reasons why I have such a big problem with the system. The system itself is overly designed and overly complicated on purpose to require you to continually buy more products from them and use their official tools that somewhat simplify things. Oh yeah, that was the other thing that I forgot to mention. There was a bunch of really awesome stuff like character builders and stuff like that were completely free to the community, but when the community use policy was instantly terminated with no warning, all of those things became illegal. And they would not have been legal under the fan content policy. So yeah, Paizo did exactly what they claimed Wizard of the Coast was doing, which Wizard of the Coast was never going to do. Paizo decided, well, we're going to do it better. Now, recently, I think yesterday, so this happened in July, late July. Again, July 22nd, 2024. Remember the date. That's the date when Paizo showed their true colors. yesterday, meaning Thursday, the 22nd. So a month later, Thursday, 22nd of August, they said this in a blog. In July, we terminated Paizo's long-standing community use policy, CUP, and replaced it with a new fan content policy, FCP. This was an error, and we're taking steps to rectify that today. So, I didn't read this blog post, so I don't know everything else that is in there. According to the Wargamer article I'm reading, it was effectively them backpedaling, but because of everything that they can't just go, well, fan content policy's gone, community use policy is back. There are legal ramifications to canceling a contract and putting a new contract into place to replace it. You can't just go, oopsie daisy, let's load our quick save. So it's going to take time for the community use policy to come back into effect and for people to be protected against Paizo just suing them into oblivion. This is what Paizo is. This is why I don't like Paizo. This is why everyone that goes, Pathfinder fixes that. First of all, no, it doesn't. It's a poorly designed game. That was based, the vast majority, it was based on somebody else's work, and they just kept adding new rules. I made an example once of, well, I made a better version of chess. It's called Chess Extra, and every single piece has like 7 different things that it can do instead of the very basic things, and they all have like limited resources. So it's the most amazing game ever because pawns, they can move 2 things forward on their first move, but on every subsequent move, they can either move to the left or the right. But if they move left on the odd-numbered moves, then they have to move right on even-numbered moves. Even if they don't move that particular pawn on an odd-numbered move, it means that on even-numbered, it's not better than chess. Chess is a perfectly fine game. It's designed very, very well, and it has been played the same way for hundreds of years. The idea that Paizo just added a bunch of extra rules on top of it and claimed that this is a brand new game that is wholly unique and is so much better is just a bold-faced lie. It always has been, it always will be. Paizo is a bunch of grifters and thieves. Now, if you like Pathfinder, all the power to you. If you like the game, that is perfectly fine. I do not believe Pathfinder players are bad. However, I have had some very, very bad experiences with the Pathfinder Society because there is a large proportion of Pathfinder Society that are just gatekeeping assholes. And I know this because I've interacted with them myself, and they almost got kicked out of every game store in the greater Milwaukee area. Yeah, that's a real thing. Does that mean all Pathfinder Society people are horrible to No. My best friend from middle school and elementary school plays Pathfinder Society stuff, and he's a great person. I know one of the really high up captains in the Pathfinder Society. He and I worked for a convention together. He's a great dude, and he's super welcoming. He's very encouraging to new players. I am not saying that all of Pathfinder Society is evil and vindictive. However, there is a large portion of Pathfinder Society, specifically in the Midwest, that are just vindictive assholes. And they're hurting the game as a whole. It's one of the reasons, at least here in the Midwest, that 5th edition had this massive boom, especially with the Adventurers League. Because the Adventurers League... with some exceptions, there were some local coordinators and regional coordinators that I think came from Pathfinder Society because they were just vindictive assholes that were gatekeepers and were just really, really mean to new players. But the D&D Adventures League is built very, very differently than the Pathfinder Society, and it doesn't reward DMs for killing off players anywhere near as much as Pathfinder Society does. So it's a slightly less cutthroat environment. Anyway, to get back to Paizo. As I said, apparently the fan content policy has been temporarily reduced, or they're trying to re-implement the community use policy. However, in that same blog post, at least as far as this Wargamer article says, they did say that their plan is to move forward with both the community use policy and the fan content policy, both being available to creators, which still means that they're going to try to steal your content to make money off of it. And the only way you're allowed to make money is if Paizo also makes money off of it. These are the people that you support if you're supporting Paizo. Now, again, Pathfinder in and of itself is not evil. The initial genesis that started Pathfinder was, to me perfectly, I think, was about half and half altruistic and vengeful. You know, you had these people who's like, well, I don't want to play 4th edition. I want to just keep playing 3rd edition forever. And Wizards of the Coast said, we're not going to support a single edition forever. We have a new edition. We like our new edition. And so these people got together and created D&D 3.75. And they have continued to support it, even after releasing Pathfinder Sisters 2nd edition, which has not gone over well. Because, again, these people are great when they're using other people's hard work. When they have to do the work themselves, it doesn't tend to work as well. And I do know some of the Paizo people are former Wizards of the Coast people. Like, it wasn't like they just got some random fans together. No, they actually do have some talent, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong about that, feel free to put that in the comments down below. Also, if I'm wrong about anything here, correct me in the comments down below. I don't want to be a source of misinformation or anything like that. But again, I've been dealing with Pathfinder bros for so long. And I've been dealing with this Paizo shit and I've been following this Paizo shit for such a long time. Anyone that doesn't realize that Paizo as a company is extremely toxic and predatory needs to really look up what's going on, because they have a long-standing history of doing this. This isn't the first time they have screwed people over, and it won't be the last time. They are always going to push boundaries until either the company goes belly up or the leadership gets replaced by people that actually understand how to run a successful business. And that's the thing that is most annoying about Paizo, is if Paizo would get the stick out of their ass and stop being upset that Wizards of the Coast does what they do significantly better, they could be a really profitable company. And they already technically are. Like, Paizo is still a profitable company from what I can tell, but they're constantly sabotaging themselves because they have this idea that somehow they can dethrone Wizards of the Coast. It's never going to happen. If Wizard of the Coast is ever dethroned, it won't be because someone forced them off the throne. It'll be because they stepped aside. They have existed for too long, and they have too many skilled people working for them to ever be dethroned. And they have too much of a market share to ever be dethroned. Paizo needs to get their heads out of their asses, realize that if they would stop trying to make the better version of D&D and start trying to make the only version of Pathfinder, they would have amazing things. They would be doing exceptionally well. They might even increase profits to where they might actually start being a threat to Wizards of the Coast. But they're so focused on, we're going to do D&D better than D&D does, and they're never going to do it. They do not have the skill. They do not have the understanding, and they sure as fuck don't have the business sense to be able to do that. It's just not going to happen. But there's some incredibly skilled people that work there. And there are things, like I said, when I reviewed the Pathfinder core rulebook, there are some really cool stuff in the Pathfinder 2nd edition core rulebook. There's some really cool stuff in the 2nd edition core rulebook. The stance system for monks, I think, is really interesting. It's implemented really poorly in Pathfinder 2nd edition, at least in the core rulebook. I don't know if they've modified things or had like errata, or even just with subsequent books have created new stances or something that actually works significantly better than the stance system here. But it's a really cool idea, and there's a lot of really cool ideas. The 3-action economy is a really cool idea, that is implemented really, really poorly. So poorly, in fact, that they had to create all of these extra rules and add all of this additional math to make it slightly more difficult to completely break their game using the 3-action economy. Again, it's always, they come up with kind of an interesting idea, but their implementation of it sucks. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they view their fans as the enemy, and they view their employees as the enemy. That's why the fan content policy was put into place. That's why the community use policy specifically states you are not allowed to make money from this. They are so terrified of making their own Paizo because they, in their deluded minds, thinks that Wizards of the Coast is afraid of them. They're not. You want to know how I know that Wizards of the Coast is not? Because for the whole OGL debacle, one of the groups that Wizards of the Coast sent the new updated OGL to get feedback from was Paizo. You don't send your most feared enemy your plans for your next big move. That's the dumbest thing ever to happen, to the point where it's actually illegal. It's called corporate espionage to intentionally infiltrate a company to take their plans and send it to a rival company. It is illegal to do that. But if the company does it voluntarily, it's not. So what happened here is Paizo believes themselves to be this amazing company. And they're just not. Don't get me wrong. Paizo can make some cool stuff. They get some cool ideas. They're not ever going to threaten Wizard of the Coast. It's just not something possible. Wizard of the Coast does not care about Pathfinder. It really doesn't. Hasbro doesn't care about Pathfinder. It really doesn't. They don't make enough revenue for them to care. They don't make enough profit. They don't have a large enough market share, which is shrinking on a daily basis. Pathfinder 2nd Edition has really hurt Paizo because they took an already complicated game, made it more complicated, and because of that, the more rules that you make, the easier it is to manipulate those rules and break the game. And so Pathfinder 2nd Edition is probably one of the easiest min-maxing games that have ever existed. So if you don't want to min-max, you will be turned away from it really, really quick. And the thing about min-maxing is min-maxing, when you are playing a min-max character, it is remarkably boring because in order for min-maxing to work, you generally create a single technique or a combo or something like that that is really, really broken. But literally everything else you can do is subpar compared to this. So every single combat, you do the exact same thing over and over again. Every single social encounter, you do the exact same thing over and over again. It's not fun to play because there's no creativity. That's why min-maxing tends to not be fun for everybody, not just the min-maxer. The only thing that's fun about it is you feel really, really powerful, but everything else about it is just massively boring. And that's what Pathfinder 2nd Edition did to Paizo, is they created a system where there are countless right answers and very few choices. Anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about yesterday, but again, I had to talk about just the abysmal pile of festering fecal matter that was Umbrella Academy Season 4. But yeah, Paizo's fucking over its fans in the exact same way they claimed Wizard of the Coast was trying to do, which Wizard of the Coast was never going to do. And the best thing about this is Paizo said if Wizards of the Coast ever enacted the new version of the OGL, they were going to take them to court and sue. So I strongly recommend anybody that has published anything under the community use program, I strongly recommend find a lawyer, talk to them, show them the tweets where Paizo said that they were going to sue, and see if there's a case there. Just like in Paizo's case, Paizo never would have been able to sue Wizards of the Coast. There was nothing they could have done to sue Wizards of the Coast, even if the OGL had gone through, which it never did. So I sincerely doubt anyone would actually have a lawsuit, but it would be really, really fun. It'd be 100% a waste of money, anyone trying to sue Paizo. But it would be really, really fun to watch Paizo fight a lawsuit where they go, well, you can't actually sue us because of this. They go, no. You said you could. Remember when you said right here, you said that you could. And they go, well, we were wrong. I would love to see that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. First of all, do I have any Pathfinder bros or just people that really, really like Pathfinder? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, this is not an attack against people that play Pathfinder. This is specifically attack against Paizo and anyone that wants to try to defend them in this action. Do not defend Paizo. However, feel free to defend Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Again, it's not my kind of game. I don't like it. But if you do, that's perfectly fine. This is not meant to alienate people that really enjoy Pathfinder, though it probably has. And in that instance, I do apologize. If that's your kind of game, go for it. But yeah, I'd like to know, do I have a strong kind of Pathfinder support in my community? Because who knows? Maybe one day I'll crack open my 2nd edition book and do like a Pathfinder deep dive style series. I don't think I could do it more than once. Like you guys would get like a monk. You guys would get a monk episode and maybe like a paladin or a fighter episode. Then it'd be like, holy shit, is this complicated? I'm never doing this again. But yeah, if that's what you guys are interested in. Again, I think there's a lot of good ideas in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I just think they're implemented really, really poorly. If they could get a really, really solid game designer in there, and again, get their heads out of their asses and stop trying to be the better D&D, I think Pathfinder 2nd Edition could have been super, super cool. And now, and this is the other thing that Paizo kept saying, is they wanted to, because one of the things they kept saying is you have to take out any reference to the OGL, which is what Pathfinder 1st Edition is built on, which is why so many things were going to be illegal under the fan content policy. They were saying, well, we just want to make sure that none of our IP is connected to the OGL, so that Wizards of the Coast can never try and do that again. Here's a fun fact. Because the SRD is now in Creative Commons, it's literally impossible for them to do that. And the plan is eventually to also retroactively put the 3rd edition SRD, or at least that was the original plan, into Creative Commons. They've already stated that as soon as the Monster Manual is out, they will update the 5th edition SRD to include all of the 5.5 stuff in the Creative Commons. And the thing about Creative Commons is once something is published under Creative Commons, that's permanent. That Creative Commons license can never be revoked, can never be replaced, nothing. The only thing you can do with a Creative Commons license is you can republish the document under a new, less limited license. So if your original Creative Commons license was originally non-commercial attribute, where you weren't allowed to make money off of any derivative works and you had to always attribute the original creator and the original license, you theoretically could update that license to just a blanket Creative Commons. It doesn't require attribution and allows for monetization, allows for commercial use. You can do that, but anything that could have been published under the previous license can still be published under the less restrictive license. But you can never go the other way with Creative Commons. It's how the license was written. So yes, this idea that Paizo's trying to go, well, we just don't want Wizards of the Coast screwing us over. Wizards of the Coast never screwed you over. You screwed you over. And Wizards of the Coast can't screw you over anymore. But you guys don't care about that. What you care about is exploiting people for money and trying to claim that you make better D&D than Wizards of the Coast. And you don't. It's all for me today. See you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.